You should not read Steel Ball Run. Hear me out, JoJo fans, before you attack me. Trust me, I'm one of you. I even have the Joestar tattoo on my back. But please hear me out. But the reason why I think you shouldn't read Steel Ball Run is going to be revealed at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Steel Ball Run is the 7th part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, arguably one of the best parts, if not the best part. It follows Johnny Joestar, a crippled 19-year-old boy that gets teased with the act of being able to walk again. From there, he's fighting politicians, terrorists, to many other unique people in his quest to be able to walk again, both in a literal sense and a adolescent sense. But if you're like me and you watched parts 1 through 6 100 times and you didn't really get to reading the manga yet, you're maybe on the fence about it, I decided to just bite the bullet and read it, and that's exactly what this video is for. I'm going to be showing you as to why or why not you should be reading it if you were in the same position as me before. But now that we have a basic premise of the plot down, let's get into the manga a little bit more. What makes this manga so renowned, and second highest rated manga of all time by the way, is its characters, story, plot, the development of these characters, and especially the artwork. That's one of my favorite aspects of Araki's work, and along with the mature themes and premises that they go over in this part. Starting with the pacing of the story, it's just absolutely incredible. Obviously it starts off a little bit slow, but what good story doesn't? Give it a few chapters after the beginning and it's just gonna take off from there and never slow down. But to me, what makes this so incredible is the fact that it's a relatively short story compared to some other manga out there, or anime I guess you could say. It still does an incredible job developing the characters in such a short period of time and telling a full complete story from beginning to end. It doesn't feel like there's any huge plot holes or like it's rushed at any point. Everything just flows extremely smoothly, and this is one of the parts where you can see Araki's writing takes a huge jump in quality. Listen, I love JoJo's as much as the next guy, but there are some parts, like in parts 3, where I didn't really like that linear storytelling progression of the hero of the week style, where it's just Jotaro beating up a new guy every week until they finally get to Dio. If you like that, more power to you, but to me it just got a little repetitive and boring. He definitely improved on that in the later parts, and I think in part 7 he just absolutely mastered that. It's not like it's just villain by villain by villain by villain. They actually, every battle has a point that adds to the greater plot. Every scene in Steel Ball Run has some significance, even when Johnny admits to having a bug bite fetish. Yes, it has significance. You'll understand if you read it. The characters and their development. This is truly where Steel Ball Run shines for most people, but being able to see a 19-year-old boy just learn to walk again, like I said, both in a literal sense and a sense of maturity and adolescence, just left me speechless. Johnny is easily the best written JoJo, in my opinion. Granted, I haven't finished reading part 8 yet, but so far, I think that it's not even a contest. Johnny is easily the best written Joestar. Or JoJo, I should say. The emotions portrayed in this part are just extremely well done and realistic. It doesn't feel cringy like some other MCs from other animes. I'm not going to name who because their fan base will attack me. But that's how I feel about this part. Even the side characters going through their development was just crazy to me. Seeing people like Lucy Steele and even Funny Valentine, how they developed in such a short amount of time, it's just, it was done perfectly. There's literally no complaints about the characters in this story, again, in my opinion. If you have any complaints, feel free to let me know. I'm all ears. But like I said, without trying to spoil it too much, Johnny goes through some crazy emotional events and trauma involving his family and his past, and just dealing with the consequences of his own actions for things he did years ago when he was just a child, and it's coming back to haunt him now. Let's talk about the artwork as well. Again, like I said before, I think that this is Araki's strong point. I always thought that JoJo's has some of the best artwork in all of anime or manga, and that is exactly where I think Steel Ball Run peaks. Honestly, as I'm reading JoJo now, I do think that that artwork is on par, but again, I haven't finished it, so I don't want to speak about that too much, and that's not what this video is about. Yes, Araki's artwork gets better over time, but I seriously think that this is where he peaked in terms of artwork, writing, character development, just all around. This is where he peaked. The details in some of these panels are just ridiculously insane. I don't believe that there is an official color yet for the manga, but you know, obviously that's been done by other people. But just look at some of these panels here and tell me that doesn't just look like peak artwork. You're lying to yourself if you say that's not. The characters, their outfits, the environments, all of this just comes together to just really showcase what Araki is capable of. And like I said, we haven't really seen a JoJo part like this before, but it was just incredibly done from start to finish. And lastly, some of the themes that I want to talk about that were in Steel Ball Run is what makes it so good. Some of the common themes that we see in previous JoJo parts like justice, morality, and humanity You know, that's stuff that we have seen through parts 1 through 6, and obviously they are still present here in part 7, but Araki also chooses to go even further and bring up even more mature topics. That's something that I really enjoy about JoJo's, especially like in part 6, for example, where they bring in the KKK, and it's like, what other anime is doing this? Well, I should say manga, because Netflix censored out that part, but still, that's besides the point. We've never seen a JoJo part bring up things like race, politics, terrorism like this before. Like I said, part 6 did bring up race slightly for the KKK and the whole Poochie and Weather Report, but again, Netflix censored that out. You'd only know that if you read the manga. I'm hoping whoever chooses to animate this part doesn't choose to censor out what was in this part. There are some very mature themes that are brought about, and if these get censored out, I am going to be kind of hurt. This is the best part. It cannot get butchered when it gets animated. Please, please do not butcher it. And you can kind of see that JoJo's was taking a shift from this part to a little bit more of a mature audience. Honestly, you could argue that you could see it in part 6 as well, maybe parts 5 and 6. But before that, it was a little bit more for younger adults, or I should say younger male adults. I feel as though from parts 5, 6, 7, that's where he kind of shifts higher and higher and higher towards a little bit of a older male audience. I'm assuming because the fan base is also getting older as they grew up with it. But that's just my guess. But you could definitely see the parts getting more mature as time goes on, and I'm all for it. I love it. And with that being said, you might be asking yourself, why would this guy that's obsessed with JoJo's, just made a video on Steel Ball Run getting animated, has a JoJo tattoo, a JoJo shirt on and everything, tell you not to read Steel Ball Run? Well, that's because once you do read it, if you do choose to, you're going to be dying for more. You are going to be itching and foaming at the mouth just to get it animated. You will be crying, begging, pleading on your knees for more. I read this and I am just waiting for an animation date to get released. I am up every night waiting, crying, gripping my sides, wanting more. But that's it. That's all we're going to hear from Johnny Joestar for now. I know he gets brought up briefly in part 8. Again, I haven't finished reading part 8 yet, but it's something so good that you can't get enough of, and it's like, damn. I guess I have to just reread it until it gets animated. On top of that, you're not going to be able to find anything as good as this. There's no work of fiction that's going to be as good as this. There's a reason why it's the second highest rated manga of all time. I guess you could argue that Berserk, you know, would be equivalent or better because on that list it is number 1. I can definitely understand that. No other series really does it like JoJo's, in my opinion. It is easily the most unique anime series, or manga series, I guess you could say, since we're talking about part 7 here, that I've ever witnessed. If you know something more unique, please, by all means, let me know. And technically speaking, you don't even really have to read or watch parts 1 through 6 to understand part 7 entirely. You might be a little bit confused, but technically speaking, without getting too much into it, you know, again, I'm not trying to spoil, you don't really need to watch parts 1 through 6 to read part 7. Obviously, it's highly recommended because part skippers are frowned upon, but technically speaking, you don't have to. I recommend it, but who cares what I think. But I appreciate you making it this far. If you want more JoJo's content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate if you made it this far. Like I said, this part is just absolutely peak. The only reason why you shouldn't read it is because you're just going to be left wanting more. You're going to be craving it. It's just... it's like an addiction. I'm addicted to JoJo's. I need rehab. Be sure to subscribe for more anime and JoJo content. Only like 1 to 2% of you guys are subscribed. Let's change that together. I appreciate you again, and I hope you guys have a good day.